Remix.
Hey!
I believe I can fly.
Hey.
I believe I can touch the sky. I think about it every night and day. I spread my wings and fly away. I believe I can soar. You see me running through that open door. I believe I can fly. I believe I can fly.
Hey. One. Big decision. One.
I believe I can fly.
One.
I believe I can touch the sky.
Big decision. One. Big decision. One. Big decision.
You gotta make one big decision in your
One big
lifetime. What
decision.
you wanna be and what you wanna do. You wanna run a committee.
I'm Jaden Nyrick,
And I'm Ray Johnson. And we will be talking about a scientist named Richard Mitchell.
and he used to work for NASA, and he is now working with a different company working on a laser. Let's check it out.
Hi, my name is Jordan, and his name is Jaden.
I'm Jaden.
Hello, my name is Richard.
So, I guess you can start.
We just want to know like a couple questions about you, and like what made you want to become a scientist. I'm sorry, but we just want to know a couple questions about you, and like what made you want to become a scientist, and like what encouraged you and all that.
Well, I actually grew up on a farm, and when I first went to college, I was going to go into agriculture and be a farmer. I went to UMES as my college of choice. Back in '86, when I was going to college, 82, 86, UMES was the only college that took using computers and farming seriously together. That was a pretty new concept back then. As a result, my instructors in the computer science department suggested I should be in computer science, not in farming. Always looking for the easiest work possible, I decided sitting behind a desk was a lot better than working out in the field. And so I started learning more about computers.
So, you said that you went to college to become a farmer.
I went to learn more about farming, and my plan was to learn how to combine the two fields, computer science and agriculture, realizing that as things progress, there's going to be a lot more computerization on the farm. And that has happened since then.
So, if you did go to college, if you did go for classes like in college to become a scientist, what classes do you think you would have to take?
The classes I took that got me where I'm at now was in the computer science department. I learned how to write computer programs. And then so a series of things, I ended up getting a job working at NASA writing computer programs. When I was there at NASA, the group that I worked with did LiDAR mapping. And I think Susanna Smala may have sent you a Twitter link at NASA_ICE. And they're currently broadcasting the work they're doing, and that was the work I was involved in when I was with them. And they've developed a laser system for mapping the ice, and they fly up into the Arctic and down into the Antarctic, measuring the ice in Greenland and in the Antarctic to see how it's changing.
So currently, like, what projects are you working on right now?
Right now, a couple years ago, I switched from NASA to USGS, United States Geological Survey. I'm doing the exact same work I did working for NASA, except for our LiDAR system, we end up mapping things locally, more so than at the far reaches of the Earth. Most recently, after Hurricane Sandy came through, we went and mapped the New Jersey coastline to see how much change had occurred there.
Okay. So how did you get involved with NASA?
Part of it was just being at the right place. I'd actually, prior to working at NASA, I answered an ad in the paper that the Navy was hiring for somebody, and I ended up working a couple years at Wallops Island working for the Navy. And so to get that job, I answered an ad in the newspaper. While I was there, I ate lunch at the cafeteria. They have it on the island at the base. And in talking with people, when my job for the Navy was over, I had worked with other people, ate lunch with other people. There's a word for that I'm trying to think of. Anyway, I ended up meeting other people, and that's how I got the job working at NASA.
How long did you work at NASA, and did you really enjoy working there?
I did. I worked there for about 20 years. It was fun and exciting work. When you work in science, you do a lot of different things all the time. If you work in a general, I've never really had a general office job, but my perception of them is you go to an office and work. Working at NASA, we had to do our research. We went out in the field, and so I got to go places all over the world. Got to travel a lot because that's where the science needed to be done.
Okay. So can you tell me why you made the laser?
What the laser does? The laser, well, the laser is an off-the-shelf laser, sort of. It's a big box, kind of. But we use the laser to measure how far the laser sends a pulse out, a pulse of light, and it flies from the airplane to the Earth and then bounces back into a telescope. Once it's in the telescope, we pick the light back up and we measure how long it took for the light to make that round trip time. Since we know how fast light travels through air, we know how far it is from the airplane to the ground. We then use that to make topographic maps. So as we're flying over something, as the ground comes up and down, we can map that difference and see how the elevation changes are. And this is a very quick way of making a map versus the conventional way is going out with surveying equipment and mapping one point at a time. Our laser shoots out 3,000 points every second. So every second we're taking 3,000 data measurements. That's a lot faster than somebody with a surveying and a tripod's going to do.
What was your favorite project working on at NASA and like now? Like, what was your favorite project?
Well, it changes. I do a lot of different things. So in my work, I developed different sensors or different things to work with the data. For both NASA and here, I've developed the same thing twice, but using different equipment. One of the things we do is also we take pictures of what we're flying over. The pictures are used to validate the data we've taken. So if we're flying over and the data shows something strange in the data, we can then look at a photograph and see what was actually in that image when the laser shot was taken. So for both systems, I've developed camera systems to record images. The one for NASA uses a Mac Mini computer and a Canon EOS computer, or camera, I mean, and takes an image every 4 seconds. For our USGS, we've used a different camera that can take a picture every second and doesn't have any moving parts. It's a better system. That camera cost $7,000 versus the Canon one I did for NASA was only $1,000, and has since run down to about $600. And so that system I've developed as we're flying over takes a picture for USGS takes a picture every second and records the image back to the computer.
So, have you done any like experiments or projects before you did the laser measurement?
I had not, and I'm only part of a team of people working on both when I was at NASA and here at USGS, developing the system. So my boss is the one who actually does most of the design work on the laser system, and my work has been in developing code to control and operate the system. And that we use for our laser system, we use a lot of different computers to control things. And in fact, I've got, if you can see it, this is, and we do a lot of things here. But this is one of the things. I don't know if you can see it with the light box. This is the actual computer, and then my boss developed this board, And everything on this board he designed. The circuit board was designed. We sent it out to get fabricated, but then all the little pieces on it, the little chips on it, if you can see them, there's some small parts on there. All of those were then put together here. And then I've written code that talks to the computer and controls objects in the airplane. So if I want to turn power off and on to the laser, that's all done via computer program. And then I've got programs that monitor temperatures, control pumps, turn pumps off and on so we can keep the system cool. What was the initial question? I think I got sidetracked.
Let's see. What would, like, if you weren't a scientist, what would have you what other job would you have chosen to do?
Hard to say, because a lot of times you get far just by going a path and making choices at the time. It's important to always make good choices and making sure that what you're doing is what you want to be in. I don't know what I would have done had I not gone this route. I certainly, as I think about it, I'd much rather be in here working with computers and computer parts than working in a chicken house, which is what I would have been doing probably otherwise had I not gone this route.
So what would you, so if somebody, like a little child or something, like in school, if you went to a school and you had to share what you did and stuff, how would you, like, what would you say to them to, like, get their hopes up to become a scientist?
If you're interested in something and want to learn all about it, I think you'll be able to find a job that does that. And the great thing is finding a job that puts you in an environment you want to be in. The boss that I work for, he doesn't like going in cold places, which you can see that the previous working at NASA, going to the Arctic and Antarctic, wasn't necessarily the ideal route to be in. We focused on a laser system that maps through the water, and hence was really good for mapping coral reefs. Nicely, there's very few coral reefs in the Arctic. Most of those occur in the tropics. So by choosing what to work on, he was able to put himself in a place he'd rather be than where he doesn't want to be.
Any more questions?
I don't really have any more questions.
Get interested in what you're studying, get motivated, get excited about what you're doing. So that's what you want to do. And do what you want to, find something you like to do, and then it's fun to be at work.
So,
Did you find out if there were any, like, things that, I guess you talked about, like, programs to be involved in at this age?
yeah, is there any programs that we can, like, us as children can do at this age to, like, to get ready to become a scientist?
I know that NASA has summer programs that you can apply for and start working there to do that.
Cool. Okay. Well, thank you for spending time, or taking a minute out of your time to do this interview with us.
You're welcome.
I really enjoyed this interview a lot. So,
Thanks.
thank you.
Thank you so much, Richard. I'm going to turn off our Skype. Not the Skype, but I'm going to turn off our recording software that we're using. And great, we got that. And I'm pretty sure we've got a great interview. And thank you so very much. Okay? And you went to UMES, you said? Oh, you got another question?
Yeah, I mean, it's not involving that. I just want to know, where are you in the surrounding? Because I can see a lot of, like, internet stuff.
I'm here at the
Hold on. Can you say that again?
Oh, he's at the Salisbury Airport.
Oh, you
Yeah.
are? Go
Yep.
ahead.
I have a question. This is a weird question. Have you ever have you guys ever did like experiments and stuff like that, or like research on like Bigfoot or
Wait,
something?
hold on.
I'm just asking.
Yes,
I'm curious.
because-
Should I
I'm
turn on the
curious.
Skype recorder? I think that's pretty interesting.
Yes.
Kids want to know this. Hold on. They
Hold
want to
on.
know this because kids want to know this, all right?
Because that was a good
All right.
question. I
All right.
wasn't even thinking about.
They want to know
sex
that.
workers.
Okay, go ahead. Good.
Have you ever did any research on Bigfoot before?
No, we haven't done any research on Bigfoot.
I was just curious.
Or any kind of weird stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, you know how, like, on TV shows now, they got, like, on Animal Channel, they got stuff about, like, ghosts and mermaids and all that stuff. Like, have y'all ever thought about doing research about those?
No, our science is pretty well Earth-based, making topographic maps and measuring water depths. But as for the other, now I will say that when I went down to McMurdo, and the people down there are pretty crazy. A lot of alien stuff, not real aliens, but they had a lot of stuff pretending there were aliens down there.
Well, thank you.
Thank you for answering my weird question.
And my weird question.
I was just really curious about that.
He's just weird.
Wasn't Richard Mitchell great?
Yeah, it really was, and I really like the thing he said about Bigfoot.
That's wonderful. I believe I can see the sky.
Big decision. One big decision. One big decision.
You gotta make one big decision in your lifetime. What you wanna be and what you wanna do. You wanna run a committee.
This project is funded through the Wacomico Partnership for Families and Children, the local management board for Wacomico County, with funding from the Governor's Office for Children.